What I'm saying is this could be serious. Get your ass checked. I want alligator.
Do you have problems with your skin? Do your blemishes flare up as big as my nostrils?
I'm Della Reese, and if you're like me, you suck up food the way a vacuum cleaner sucks up hairballs.
She is the most talented in our family.
She was called the most talented in our family by her brother Keenan, the one who everyone knew would make it in show business. From making angel wings out of curtains and bottle cap tap shoes as a desperate little girl to becoming a breakout star on In Living Color, Kim Wayans seemed destined for comedy greatness.
I didn't really trust my voice. I looked to my brothers, I looked to other people to basically tell me who I was.
But what happens when family loyalty costs you everything? What happens when you sacrifice your career for your siblings only to watch them go on to become millionaires while you fade into obscurity? This is the story of Kim Wayans, the forgotten sister of the Wayans comedy dynasty who gave up her star-making moment to stand by her family, and how that decision led to decades in Hollywood's wilderness. Her journey from sketch comedy queen to virtual exile is a cautionary tale about the price of loyalty in an industry that values profit over principles. Born Kimberly Nicole Wayans on October 16, 1961 in New York City, Kim was one of 10 siblings in a family that would later dominate comedy. But while her brothers would become household names, Kim's path was always different, marked by desperate determination and a willingness to sacrifice everything for her art.
You know, since I think I came out of the womb, got smacked in the butt and said, I'm gonna be an actress.
Even as a child, Kim's hunger for performing was so intense it bordered on obsession. Growing up in the Chelsea neighborhood as Jehovah's Witnesses, the Wayans children didn't have much money, but Kim refused to let poverty stop her dreams.
And as kids, my sister Kim was the one that you knew was going to be in show business. Where I had this secret dream, Kim had this desperate dream. So my sister Kim was in every community play, every production at school, every musical. I mean, that's what she did. And what made it so desperate was she didn't have the money to do it. And so she would make her own costume.
The family legend tells the story that defines Kim's character. She was cast in a school play as a butterfly or angel and needed wings and tap shoes.
Community production, I was in every school play, you can think of, so I just was working on my craft.
When their mother said they couldn't afford the costume, most kids would have given up. Not Kim.
I always knew what I was going to do. I knew that I was going to be an entertainer. I just knew it since I was a little girl.
She finds some old cartons, takes a wire hanger and makes her some wings, puts bottle tops on her shoes, and now she's got her costume. Keenan recalls with admiration. She is literally skidding across the floor because she has no grip on the bottom of these shoes and she's banging into everybody. The image is both hilarious and heartbreaking, a young girl so desperate to perform that she'll humiliate herself on stage rather than miss her chance. That desperation would define Kim's entire career, driving her to success, but also making her vulnerable to exploitation. Kim graduated from Wesleyan University with an English degree, but her heart was always in performance. She made her film debut in Hollywood Shuffle in 1987, but it was her role on In Living Color that would make her famous.
Where were you on that night?
I was up on the rooftop selling pumpkin seeds and tampons.
And ultimately destroy her Hollywood dreams. When Keenan created In Living Color for Fox in 1990, he made sure to include his siblings. Kim was part of the original cast, and she was electric.
It was so fun. To me, they're just my crazy family. So, I'm just used to them, but they're just fun.
Her celebrity impressions of Naomi Campbell, Whitney Houston, Vanessa Williams, and Oprah Winfrey were spot on. But it was her original characters that really showcased her range. Critics raved about her work. One reviewer called her hysterical as Mrs. Brooks.
Oh, that cancer is something else. I lost an ovary and my prostate to cancer.
While another claimed she played Benita Bottrell to perfection.
Every time I open my door, she's hanging out there with a cup.
She needs some flour, she needs some bread, she needs some eggs, she needs to take her ass to the supermarket.
The gossiper character alone should have made her a star. Kim brought a manic energy and perfect timing that elevated every sketch she was in.
On that Grace Jones sketch, I had on like stilettos like yay high, and they snapped in half, and I had Tommy on my shoulder.
But not everyone was impressed. Kim Coles, another original cast member, had a very different perspective on Kim's abilities. In my opinion, Kim Wayans isn't very good, and for the record, I would say this to her face, Coles later stated bluntly. The tension between the two Kims was palpable from the beginning. While Kim Wayans was getting featured roles and character development, Kim Coles found herself frequently overlooked when sketches were cast and butting heads with show creator Wayans. The writing was on the wall. After just one season, Kim Coles was abruptly fired. "I got a call from my agent saying don't come to work Monday," she revealed years later. The message was clear. There was only room for one Kim on the show, and family came first. The firing created lasting resentment. Some cast members and fans believed Kim Wayans was getting preferential treatment not because of her talent, but because of her last name. Kim Wayans wasn't as funny as they thought she was. Kim Cole and Takia Crystal Kima were much funnier, one fan later observed, capturing the sentiment that many felt but few were willing to say publicly. Kim Coles, meanwhile, landed on her feet with a starring role on Living Single, which became a massive hit and ran for 5 seasons. The irony was bitter. The Kim who got fired went on to become a bigger star than the Kim who stayed. But even as the show became a massive hit, capturing more than a 10-point Nielsen rating and winning the Emmy for Outstanding Variety, Music, or Comedy Series in 1990, trouble was brewing behind the scenes. Fox executives were uncomfortable with the show's edgy content from the beginning. They wanted to censor sketches, control the content, and ultimately squeeze every dollar they could from the Wayans family's creativity. The network had approached Keenan after his success with I'ma Get You Sucker, promising him complete creative freedom. It was a lie. As In Living Color became more successful, Fox became more controlling. They began censoring content, demanding changes, and treating the Wayans family like employees rather than creative partners. The breaking point came when Fox decided to syndicate the show without proper compensation to Keenan. Fox was syndicating the show and it was hurting Keenan's pockets, Marlon Wayans later revealed. The network was running reruns from earlier seasons without permission, diluting the value of the show before its syndication deals. They were essentially stealing money from the show's creator while demanding he produce more content. Keenan was furious. He had created something groundbreaking, a sketch comedy show that gave voice to the African American experience in ways that had never been seen on television. The show was launching careers. Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, Jennifer Lopez all got their start there, changing comedy and making Fox millions. Yet the network was treating him like a disposable commodity. In December 1992, Keenan left In Living Color after clashing with Fox over censorship and syndication rights. His departure sent shockwaves through the production, but it also created a moment of truth for the rest of the Wayans family. This is where Kim's story becomes both noble and tragic. Damon Wayans had already left after the 3rd season to pursue movies. Marlon was able to leave immediately after Keenan. But Kim and Sean were trapped. They were still under contract and couldn't simply walk away like their brothers. Fox executives thought they had won. They could keep the show going with the remaining Wayans siblings and new cast members maintaining the In Living Color brand without paying the family what they deserved. But the Wayans family had other plans. During the Christmas episode of 1992, as Jamie Foxx performed This Christmas, something extraordinary happened. Kim, Sean, and other family members appeared in the background wearing black sunglasses, a silent protest against Fox's treatment of Keenan. Because we're protesting and we're going, you ain't gonna my brother. We're a family. You touch one, you touch all, Marlon later explained. The Wayans weren't just co-workers or collaborators. They were family, and they would stand together even if it cost them everything. Fox executives were livid. They were offering Kim and the remaining family members big checks to stay and continue the show without Keenan. The money was substantial, potentially life-changing amounts that could have set Kim up for years. Kim turned it down. In March 1993, Fox finally released Kim from her contract, but not before making her pay a price. Network executives claimed Kim had staged her own protest by refusing to perform in a sketch involving her best-known character, the gossiper, Bonita Buttrell, and by accusing the writers of the show of being offensive and racist. Kim called the allegations totally meritless, but the damage was done. She had been painted as difficult, ungrateful, and troublesome, the kiss of death for any actor, especially a Black woman in the 1990s Hollywood. The decision to leave In Living Color was the defining moment of Kim's career, and it's impossible to know if she made the right choice. On one hand, she showed incredible loyalty to her family and refused to be exploited by a network that was stealing from her brother. On the other hand, she gave up what could have been a star-making role for someone who was already successful. The aftermath was swift and brutal. While In Living Color continued for one more season without the Wayans family and promptly got canceled, Kim found herself struggling to find work as a young Black woman in an industry that had already labeled her as difficult. While looking for opportunities, I ran into several situations where people tried to place me in a box, she later admitted. The box was the limited roles available to Black actresses in the 1990s, typically stereotypical characters that didn't showcase the range she had demonstrated on In Living Color. Kim's brothers, meanwhile, began building their individual careers. Keenan continued writing and directing. Damon starred in movies and eventually got his own sitcom. Marlon and Sean would later star in White Chicks and other successful comedies.
Yeah. Your mother's so old that her breast milk is powdered. You breastfeed like this.
They were all able to leverage their In Living Color fame into bigger opportunities. Kim wasn't so lucky. She appeared in a few of her brother's films, including A Low Down Dirty Shame, and Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood.
This ain't your baby.
Ain't that some shit?
But these were supporting roles that didn't showcase her talents. In 1995, she landed a full-time role as Tanya Harris in In the House, which ran until 1998.
Actually, it's Dr. Stanton's, but I use it all the time. Made about 50 copies for all my crazy relatives.
It was steady work, but it was a far cry from the star-making vehicle that In Living Color could have been if she had stayed. During this period, Kim began to realize the full cost of her decision. She was approaching her late 30s in an industry that has always been brutal to aging women, especially Black women. The window for breakout stardom was closing, and she was running out of opportunities to prove herself as a leading lady. But Kim's personal life was about to provide an unexpected silver lining. During one of her gym sessions, she met Kevin Knotts, an actor and writer from Oklahoma, who had grown up on a ranch. Kevin was put through what Kim calls the Wayans family training to become a writer, and in 2002, they teamed up with Damon to write episodes for his TV show My Wife and Kids.
We have about 38 nieces and nephews, and
36 of them are her.
The collaboration was successful, but more importantly, it showed Kim a new path forward. If Hollywood wouldn't give her the starring roles she deserved, she could create her own opportunities behind the camera. Kim and Kevin got married. Various sources placed the wedding anywhere from 2002 to 2013, reflecting Kim's preference for privacy, and they began working together as a team. They co-authored the Amy Hodgepodge series of children's books inspired by the many interracial children in the Wayans family.
I spent so many hours in the library reading and, just imagining what my life was going to be.
The books were a creative outlet that allowed Kim to control her own narrative for the first time in years. She wasn't depending on casting directors or network executives. She was creating content that reflected her values and experiences. But even as Kim found personal happiness and creative fulfillment, her career continued to stagnate. She made guest appearances on shows like The Wayans Bros and directed episodes of series like My Wife and Kids, Bunked, and The Neighborhood. But she was essentially working in her family's shadow. The cruel irony was impossible to ignore. Kim, who Keenan had called the most talented in our family, was the one whose career had suffered most from their stand against Fox. Her brothers were becoming millionaires while she was directing episodes of other people's shows. Kim's struggle reflects a broader pattern in Hollywood. Black women are often the most vulnerable when industry politics explode. While her brothers could leverage their in-living color fame into movie careers and starring roles, Kim faced a double disadvantage of being both black and female in an industry that has historically been hostile to both. She tried to reinvent herself in more dramatic roles, appearing in films like Pariah in 2011, where director Dee Reese chose her specifically because she brought vulnerability to the audition. Kim was nominated for Black Reel and NAACP Image Awards for the performance, proving she had range beyond comedy. But these dramatic roles were few and far between. Kim appeared in guest spots on Criminal Minds and Hawaii Five-0.
Me and you killed her first. I just couldn't do it while she was still alive. That's the whole point.
And had a regular role as paralegal Vi Briggs on Reckless.
So you be willing to testify on her behalf?
Yes, I will.
That's music to my ears, Charlene.
But she was essentially a character actress rather than a leading lady. As of 2025, Kim Wayans' estimated net worth is approximately $5 million, a comfortable amount that reflects decades of steady work, but a fraction of what her brothers have achieved. Damon Wayans alone is worth an estimated $35 million, while Keenan's net worth is around $60 million. Currently, Kim remains married to Kevin Knotts, and they continue to collaborate on projects. She made a return to sketch comedy in 2021, appearing on a Black Lady sketch show alongside her former In Living Color co-star Kim Coles, a reminder of what once was and what might have been. Kim and Kevin have deliberately chosen not to have children, with Kim explaining, "I come from a huge family with several nieces and nephews and great nieces and nephews. I never felt the need to have children of my own. I'm Auntie Kim. I've always had kids to love and to cuddle. When I get tired of them, I take them back home." Her decision to remain childless reflects a broader pattern in her life. She's always prioritized creative fulfillment and family loyalty over traditional markers of success. She chose solidarity over stardom, principle over profit, and family over fame. Kim's story contains no major scandals or public controversies. Her struggles have been quiet and personal. The accumulation of missed opportunities, industry politics, and the long-term consequences of a single decision made in solidarity with her family. Looking back, it's impossible to say whether Kim made the right choice when she left In Living Color. She showed incredible loyalty to her family and refused to be exploited by a network that was stealing from her brother. But she also sacrificed what could have been a career-defining opportunity. What's certain is that Kim Wayans deserved better. She was genuinely talented, professionally prepared, and creatively fearless. In a fairer industry, her loyalty to family would have been seen as admirable rather than difficult. Her willingness to sacrifice for principles would have been rewarded rather than punished. Today, Kim continues to work steadily, write children's books with her husband, and maintain the same fierce loyalty to family that cost her so much decades ago. She's proved that talent and integrity can survive even when the industry fails you, and that sometimes the most important victories happen far from the spotlight. The little girl who made angel wings from curtains and tap shoes from bottle caps never lost her desperate determination to perform. She just learned that sometimes the price of staying true to yourself is higher than anyone should have to pay. Kim Wayans may not have achieved the level of fame and fortune that her brothers did, but she achieved something potentially more valuable. She remained true to her principles, loyal to her family, and authentic to herself. In an industry built on compromise and exploitation, that might be the greatest success of all.